What's up, internet? Have you ever wondered how much more input lag is added when you play online versus offline? What's the difference between 5 bars, 4 bars, 3 bars, 2 bars, and 1 bar? In this video, we will simulate and conduct input lag tests for all of these scenarios. I would love to do actual input lag tests online, but I don't think other players would just sit there for hours for me to do my tests. Fortunately for us, I found a game that simulates all of this, and that game is DOA5. It takes me days to put these videos together. If you enjoy them, please consider leaving a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Without further ado, let's get started. I will be using a high-speed Sony camera capable of recording 960 frames per second to do this. We are going to import the pre-recorded high-speed footage into my video editing program. Then we will count the amount of frames it took from the moment that a button is pressed to when an action happens on screen. And finally, we will input all of this data into my handy spreadsheet to calculate frames into milliseconds. After recording the slow motion footage, collecting and inputting all the data, I'm finally done. Let's take a look at the results. When you're playing offline, the input delay hovers around the 70s to the lower 80s. On average, I got 74.79, so pretty much like a 75 millisecond input delay average. And if you convert that to frames for a 60 frames per second game, you get about a 4.5 frames per second average. Now if we go online and we have perfect connection, right? The input delay becomes a lot larger instantly. Most of the cycles come back over 100 in 1/10. On average, I'm getting a 108.6 input delay. If you convert that to frames, it's going to be 6.5 frames per second. For 4 bars, you're getting even more input delay, right? So on average, I'm getting a 124 or 7.5 frames per second. With 3 bars, I'm hovering around the 130s to the low 140s here. And on average, I'm getting about a 137.2 milliseconds of input delay here. That equates to 8.23 frames per second. With 2 bars, it's getting pretty bad here, so I'm hovering around the 150s and the 160s. On average, I'm getting a 159 milliseconds of input delay, and that equals to 9.5 frames per second. Now with 1 bar, holy moly, look at this. This is unplayable. I'm getting a whole bunch of high 200s here. It even goes over 300 milliseconds, holy moly. And on average, I'm getting a 275.5 milliseconds of input delay. That means 16.5 frames per second. So if you do a 9 frame jab, it becomes a 25 frame jab. That's nuts. Alright, let's take a look at all of it together. So with offline here, you're getting a 75 millisecond delay that equates to 4.5 frames per second. Now if you go online and you have perfect connection, you're gonna have a 6.5 to maybe 7 frames per second delay here. And if you go to 5 bars, you're gonna add 1 more frame, right? And same thing with 3 bars, you add another frame. 2 bars, another frame. A 9 to 10 frame delay is gonna be pretty hard to play. You're gonna have to play on anticipation a lot. And with a 1 bar, just forget about it. You're getting a 16 to 17 frame of input delay. Just don't do it. If you're playing against a 1 bar, press a button, go make yourself a meal, come back, and the move still hasn't come out yet. Now in terms of the difference versus offline, so offline you're getting maybe a 4.5 to a 5 frame delay. You go online, you're gonna have to add 2 more to the offline input delay, right? So immediately it's going to be 2 frames slower than being offline. And with 4 bars here, you're going to be 3 frames slower than offline. With 3 bars, you got to add another frame. And then continuing on with the theme, add another frame for being 2 bars versus offline. And with 1 bar, you're going to be 12 frames slower than being offline here. It's interesting how as you go down a bar, you just add a frame, right? And then when you get to 1 bar, bam, 12 frames. Well, that's it for me. Hopefully you found it interesting and informative. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. Take care now.